All right, so in this demo video, I'm going to show you what a bad use of AI looks like in the college application process and what a good use of AI looks like in the college application process. Now, I will note that both things I'm going to show you here today are well within the bounds of that trusted adult bucket that we were talking about before. So when I talk about bad and good, it's not about what is compliant with university policy and what's not. These both are going to be, but really it's about, now that you have a good understanding of what AI is, now you'll understand, right, why certain things are good and certain things are bad in terms of how much use you're going to be getting out of them. So with that, let's hop into it. So I'm going to just go over to chatgpt.com. So that is this thing that 80 million people per month use, and a lot of people use it for college applications. And so what you can do here, right, here's an example of a bad use. So I might say something like, hey, can you please review my college application essay? Something along those lines. It is my draft for my personal statement, right? And so right now I have copy pasted here an example essay. A real student actually wrote this past admission cycle. And so I got permission to use it in this demo. But let's take a look at what ChatGPT says. And so this might be how a lot of students end up using ChatGPT. And as we've discussed, this is not going to be the most appropriate way. And so what we'll see here, right, is it's just going to give the type of advice that it would have pulled from things like Reddit and Quora. So it says, hey, your introduction is good. It'll try to revise your intro. So again, you don't ever want to use something like this where it actually written something for you. And so it'll just keep trying to revise. And this is generally speaking what it's going to try to do. Now, it might not always try to rewrite your essay. In other cases, maybe it'll try to say, hey, thematically, this is the things you could do differently. Again, it's all stuff that's just pulled from what it's learned from Reddit and Quora. And so as we've already discussed, bad data in, bad data out. You don't want to do something like this. Now, what is an example of a good use? So let's go ahead and refresh the page and let's try this again, except again, this is going to be the option 1 that I gave you. At minimum, please tell ChatGPT, go ask your college counselor what a good essay is and what kind of counts as a good essay and what types of themes that they would like to see in one. And then at minimum, please tell ChatGPT, here's an example of what a good essay looks like. So here's a better way of using AI. So you might say, hey, my college counselor told me that a good college application essay follows these rules. Maybe it has authentic voice, maybe it's doing showing, not telling, and then maybe and it feels personal, something like that, right? And then, given this rubric, can you please give me feedback on my personal statement first draft? And here we go, and we'll paste it again. Okay, now let's see what ChatGPT says. So in this case, at least what ChatGPT is doing is it's actually looking at the different types of requirements that you told it are important and it's saying, okay, well, this is where you do well, and here are some suggestions on how you can do better. Now, again, this is an example prompt that you could use, right? This thing right here is saying, okay, this is an example. You're going to have to figure this out yourself on what is the best way to extract the most value, because this is not the most optimal way to approach this process. And so again, you'll need to do some work on this side, but at least it's better than what base ChatGPT would tell you. Now, again, I'll just do a quick demo of if you don't want to have to deal with this hassle and you also want even better advice where AI is not only refocused on maybe what you're telling it right here, but if you actually want AI that was actually trained on thousands of college application essays, then you can also head over to our website, which you're watching this on actually. So you've already created an account and you can log in. And again, the nice thing is you can also put in your background here. So answer a couple questions, and now all the AI feedback that you get is going to be based on your background. And again, we don't train on anything that you put in. And then on top of that, you can select maybe for each of the given universities you're applying to and whatnot. You can also, for each university, you'll see the supplemental essays that you have to answer, and you can start typing. And here's where the AI kicks in. And so, for example, let's look at Common App, since we were just playing around with the Common App essay. So let's say we just paste in our essay draft here. Now, let's say we didn't have that yet. We could theoretically just use the brainstorm functionality, and that's super nice. You just click one button. You don't need to worry about how do we prompt the AI effectively. We've already handled all of that for you. And so in about 2 or 3 seconds, you're going to get a bunch of potential options of where you could start. And that's actually going to be based on the background that you entered. And so it's very personalized. And so you'll get some tips on where to start on this essay. From there, you can go ahead and start writing your essay. And at any point in time, it doesn't have to be finished, but you can just hit progress check. Progress check is going to give you some tips, like 3 concrete tips on how you can improve your essay. And so it'll go paragraph by paragraph and give you some ideas on what you can do to actually really hit the mark. And so as we can see here, we don't have to read through all of this, but again, you'll just get some information on stuff you can do. And then really the firepower where it's packed in is grade. So if you hit grade, it's going to take about 30 seconds and it's going to actually give your essay a grade on how well it performs. And this is going to be based on the thousands of college application essays that we've actually reviewed and figured out what are the common patterns that actually work in application essays. And so many of different universities, we have different models for different universities. If you're applying to top 15 universities, we have specific models for each of them. And so as we can see here, you'll get an overall grade. So in this case, it's a B+. And then you'll get actual analysis on each of the requirements. And so for personal statements, what works well is number one, you have to have an emotional connection with the reader. And this was a requirement that was picked out after we did analysis of these thousands of successful essays. And so in this case, the essay does an okay job. And so we get an explanation as well as where improvement is needed. And then there's a bunch of other requirements. There's 4 more. There's like maturity of thought. Is it actually a pleasurable read? Does the voice sound authentic? And then are you actually telling a story? Is there narrative cohesion? Beyond that, we also look at, in these thousands of essays, these students, they use the same couple hundred techniques in order to really hit the mark on their essays. And so what we do is we'll look at your essay, we'll look at this list of several hundred techniques, and we'll pick out the top 3 ones that you can integrate into your essay to really make it stand out and really hit the mark. And so this is very personalized feedback. We do a quick check for red flags, and we tell you recommended next steps. And so overall, really what this platform is packaged to do is to give you the best possible feedback on your essays based on what's actually worked for prior students. And again, if you're watching this video, we're probably partnered with your high school, so you can just try this out for free, get started. But again, you don't have to use this. If you want, you can also try to figure out your own way through ChatGPT. And at minimum, please tell it what a good college application essay is and talk to your college counselor. But yeah, so that's just an example of bad ways to use AI versus good ways to use AI. But good luck this application cycle. You're going to do great. Take it easy.